let's talk about a piece that I've got up on TexasFootball.com. It is the Texas High School Football District Power Rankings. The new UIL Texas High School Football Districts are out. They are, if you want to get very technical, they are not finalized. There are still some appeals that can come down. But those will be pretty small changes, maybe 2 or 3 schools moving districts as opposed to grand shifts. So I feel pretty good taking a look at the way that these districts are structured and looking at which ones are the strongest and which are the weakest. Okay, so what we did, here's the whole process behind this. I went through and I took, with our Texas High School Ball computer rankings at TexasFootball.com, our partner Jerry Forrest assigns a rating for each team. And so let's just say that Ishmael High School is rated 100, and Tepper High School is rated 105. And then Ishmael High School goes out there and beats Tepper High School. Your rating would go up because you beat a team that was higher rated than I was. My rating would go down because I lost to a team that was rated lower than I was, et cetera, and so on and so on. As a result, at the end of the season, with all the data that we have, every team in the state has a rating. So we have these postseason Texas High School Ball ratings for every Texas High School Ball team. And what I did, I took all the teams in each new district, and I averaged out their ratings. And I wanted to see who has the highest rating on the whole. There's a couple, as I mentioned in the piece, there's one small caveat, which is there are a handful of teams, almost exclusively new programs, that don't have a rating from last year. So, for example, Prosper Rock Hill. Prosper Rock Hill is playing their first varsity season. They don't have a rating. So instead of, but if you have a 0 rating, which is what we would assign them, that really throws everything off, and it would unfairly drag down the district rating. So what I did was basically put them on par with the lowest rated team in the district. So the lowest rated team in Prosper Rock Hill's district, for example, was Frisco Memorial. They just get the same rating as Frisco Memorial. It's like having another Frisco Memorial in it. Okay, that's what we're going with. It's not perfect, I admit it, but it's the only way to get around it and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. As a result, we have rankings of all 192 Texas high school football districts at TexasFootball.com. You can find them there. It's for insiders only. See the complete ones. But we'll take a look at each classification and tell you which are the toughest districts in each classification. In 6A, I think this was a surprise to some people. But in 6A, And by the way, I should mention, you also have a piece up at Texas Football.
It'll be up later today.
About your perceived, what you think are, what you think are the toughest districts in the state.
Yeah, I'll have a little intro paragraph before I kind of talk about each district. But I kind of, when I first got the packet, I immediately started just scanning to see which ones just jumped out at me right away, and I measure my own by variance, basically how different is this district compared to what we've seen in the past, and top to bottom competitiveness. It doesn't always have to be state contenders. It could be a bunch of teams who are probably more area 3-round teams, but that they're all going to be competing for that first 1 through 4 spot. That's kind of what I looked at,
because that's probably the difference between your kind of human ratings and then these computer ratings, which is with the computer ratings, you're taking into account
they look at
single team.
North Shore is number 1, so therefore a district of North Shore is going to be naturally higher than a team without North Shore.
But at the same time, and what I've been getting a lot of comments about is they're saying, well, how is this district so low? Why isn't this district higher? And the answer is almost always you got to look at the bottom of the district.
Yeah,
and you got to look
there's teams at the bottom, they're going to
bring it
down.
If there are teams that are 0-10, if there are teams that are really lowly rated by our computer ratings, that's going to drag it down. And so, as a result, really think of this as maybe a measurement of the deepest districts and maybe the most competitive top to bottom.
Yeah.
Because, for example, you look down at the bottom of the 6A rankings, you're going to have a district let me see. Okay, perfect example. You're going to have a district with, Euless Trinity in it, right? Euless Trinity's District 3 6A, ranks 23rd. And you're thinking, well, wait a second, Euless Trinity's really good every single year. And that's true. But the problem is you've got teams like Pascal that are dragging them down, teams that are not as competitive as others. So when we take a look at the districts, I think this surprised people in Class 6A. The toughest district, according to the computer ratings, is District 21 6A. And I think this flew under people's radar. Okay? 21-6A, it has Galena Park North Shore and Beaumont Westbrook, and those are kind of the heavy hitters. But you're adding in the humble schools, including Atascocita, including Humble, who went 10-3 last year, and Kingwood, who was a playoff team as well. Not to mention a Summer Creek team that's got some potential. 21-6A top to bottom is the deepest district in the state. The second one is 11-6A. And 11-6A is the one that got the headlines, right? We even talked about it here on the show. 11-6A is the one that got the headlines. That's the DeSoto, Cedar Hill, Duncanville district. Super good district, the second-rated district in 6A. But at the bottom, you've got teams in Waco and Waxahachie who went a combined 3-17 last year, right? That's dragging that down a little bit. By the way, rounding out the top three, the third-rated district is, and I don't think this is a surprise, 27-6A, which is that San Antonio Power District.
So the funny thing about that district is it's more or less looked similar because like Wagner dropped down the last realignment to 5AD1, and but they were traditionally in that northern San Antonio district. Now, after being a state semifinalist the past couple of years, I believe state semifinalist the past 2 years, now they're back up, and now it's like, oh, by the way, now here's a state semifinalist.
Yeah, and by the way, yeah, exactly. You're taking an already strong, like the strongest district in San Antonio, and the power, the power
adding the best team in San Antonio in 5AD1 back into it.
Right, exactly. And by the way, that is measuring them with a team in Civil of Steel that didn't have a season up to their standard.
Smithson Valley didn't have a season.
Smithson Valley, too.
Okay, so a little nugget when I was doing this. Spoilers, this district will be in my piece too.
Yeah.
The past 4 years with that San Antonio district, the reason why I consider it, in my opinion, one of the top and maybe one or two toughest districts in the state, the past 4 years, one of the Power Four has won that district. Judson, Steele, Schertz Clemens this past year, Smithson Valley 2 years ago.
That's true.
So, like, when Steele went to state, I think last year Judson won it, and 2 years ago Smithson Valley won it. This past year Clemens won it. And so it's like, okay, but any four of those teams, who knows what Wagner can do now?
Sure.
And, it's wild.
It's amazing. 5A Division 1, the highest rated district is 5A Division 1, which is, and we talked about this. This was the district that every team made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Every district. Burleson Centennial, Colorado Heritage, Richland, Mansfield Legacy, Mansfield Summit, Midlothian, Birdville, and Red Oak. That's saucy. The second-rated district is District 7 5A, which is the Highland Park Longview district. Highland Park Longview John Tyler district, as well as McKinney North. That was when you brought this up to me. You were like, what this study was really good for was going through and being like, oh, geez, they're in that district too.
Yeah.
Like the headliners, that like team at the top, we pay so much attention to. Oh, Highland Park and Longview, and John Tyler's coming with them. McKinney North was one of the most dangerous teams in the state last year.
Their offense was insane.
Yeah, they put up I forgot. I think you did the piece. I want to say they were first or second in the state. Just
second.
points per game. Wild.
They're up there. So they're in that district as well. 5A Division 2, and maybe this is a surprise, but the highest rated district is 5A Division 2. Bernie Champion, which was a state semifinalist a year ago, they're obviously doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but do not count out a playoff team in Medina Valley, a 10-win team in Kerrville-Tivy, a playoff team in Lockhart. That's and by the way, the two teams at the bottom of that district in Floresville and Alamo Heights, those were teams that played really tough schedules and played teams tight, and so they were their rating reflects that. Yes. The second district, by the way, is 5A Division 2. Barboursville, Crosby, Dayton, P&G, Nederland, etc.
Which should not surprise anyone, in my opinion.
4A Division 1, it is District 5. 5-4 Division 1. That is the Brownwood, La Vega, Stephenville district with Midlothian Heritage. Poor Alvarado. I was doing. I'm gonna have another piece up on like what the numbers say. Teams that went from that their district path got significantly tougher. Alvarado's at the top.
Yeah.
Alvarado got a devastating draw. The second-rated district in that state, in 4A Division 1,
this one's number one for me,
is 15. 15 4A Division 1. That's the Cal Allen, Corpus Christi Miller, Calhoun, Alice. Beeville Jones. Yeah. Beeville Jones with 11-1 last year.
Yeah.
Beeville Jones.
Like that's like.
And they're not even the one that you look at first and think,
Midway's a drop down. Midway's a drop down too.
And Midway, by the way, Tulsa Midway's getting better.
Yeah.
They were kind of the doormat for a while. They're getting better as well. 4A Division 2, the top-rated district is, and I don't think this is a surprise, I believe it was the top-rated district a year ago, is still a top-rated district. That is 4A Division 2. That is the Pleasant Grove-Gilmer district. And I think people are going to look at that and say, and Longview Spring Hill, which is really good. Pittsburgh, which had a solid year even with their record when there. And I think people are going to look at that and be like, well, what about Liberty Ilo? Liberty Ilo was 0-10. Remember a piece I did a couple weeks ago, Liberty Ilo played the toughest schedule in the state. They were the team that played the toughest schedule in the state. The second district, by the way, is Carthage, which surprised me a little bit. The Carthage district, 10-4 Division II. Part of that is Carthage, obviously. Mm-hmm. You've got a team not only that was really good in 4 Division I, but dropped down. Mm-hmm. But add in Jasper, add in Center. That's a strong district as well. 3A Division I, the top-rated district is 11 3A Division I. That's Cameron Yo. That district's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. Where you've got Cameron Yo and Troy, which were great. Rockdale's in there as well. You got a drop down in Lorena, who was 5-5 last year, but was really competitive. And by the way, the bottom of that district in McGregor, Caldwell, that's not bad as well. They're the second or the top rated district in 3A Division 1. 3A Division 2, it's that weird Central Texas district that got kicked from from Region 2 to Region 4. 13 3A Division 2. Buffalo, Clifton, Florence, Franklin, Lexington, Riesel, and Rogers. Lexington was a team that played 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. Buffalo was a playoff team. Chilton won a playoff game. Franklin was a playoff team. Rogers played 13 games. That is the toughest district in 3A Division 2, according to the numbers. 2A Division 1, this is not a surprise either. Nope. 13 2A Division 1. Flatonia, Ganado, Schulenburg, Shiner, Weimar. You've got 4 10-win teams. And that other team went 6-5. They're not lunch meat in Schulenburg. Yeah. That is, I think, pretty clearly the toughest district. And what's super interesting about that, what I love about that district, is because it's a 5-team district, every game is there is no margin for error.
Oh yeah.
No. Not at all.
That is going to be a 4-week slugfest. It's going to be a lot of fun. 2A Division 1. 2A Division 2, the top-rated district is 2A Division 2. In large part because of Wellington and Wheeler. The computer also really likes what Clarington did last year, and they're kind of buoying that thing. 2A Division 2 is the top-rated district in 2A Division 2. In the 6-man ranks, and this was one that flew under the radar because I didn't have time to kind of digest it, 1A Division 1, District 1, you've got McLean, Happy, Turkey Valley, and White Deer all lumped in, and you've got an 11-man drop-down in Claude. That is heady stuff. That is that's a legit 5-deep district there in the 6-man ranks in 1A Division 1, or 1A Division 1. And then the toughest district in 1A Division 2, 13 1A Division 2. That is the Oakwood, Calvert, Chester, Apple Springs district, just edging out the 5A Division 5 1A Division 2, which is the Balmorhea, Grand Falls, Royalty, and Sierra Blanca. That one gets dragged down a little bit because you're adding in Del City and Valentine. We don't know if they're going to field teams this year, but you're adding them in, and so they get kind of the Sierra Blanca as well, kind of played an outlaw schedule. You're adding those in. So the toughest district in 13 1A Division 2 is I'm sorry, in 1A Division 2 is 13 1A Division 2. Thank you. Complete district power rankings at TexasFootball.com for insiders. Check it out. My Excel was just almost crashing my computer last night because I was working on that. That was fun, but it's interesting. And like I said, the real takeaway from doing this was looking past the top of the district. Yeah. Like, I think it's easy to look at District 5 and say, oh, boy, that's the Allen district, right? That's Allen and Denton Geyer. But then you add in, you're like, oh, by the way, McKinney won a playoff game. Yeah. Braswell is moving up, but they won a playoff game last year. Prosper, it was an 11-win team last year. They were a regional finalist. That's the kind of thing that this really put into perspective for me was it's not just about the top 2 teams in your district, the top 3 teams in your district, but how tough is your 5th toughest district game, And that's what I think this is an interesting measure of. Anyway, you can find that at TexasFootball.com.